So we've talked in the past about a tool to measure how we're doing during the growing season. It's called the Grazing Response Index. Can you give us kind of a 30,000 foot view of what the Grazing Response Index is and what it does for us?
The principle is that if the animals are starting to graze that plant a second time, you're beginning to go past the this grazing was good for the plant to this grazing is maybe neutral to the plant. And if they're there long enough for that plant to get grazed a third time or more, then you're starting to drive that plant downhill. And the more you graze it again, the more often you graze it again, then the more downhill you drive it. And so in the Grazing Response Index, you call that frequency of grazing, and you evaluate it as basically time for one bite plus one. Time enough for a second bite, neutral, zero. Time enough for a third bite or more, minus one. So it's pretty simple math. But the point is, how long are the animals there during the growing season? And we're thinking during the growing season because of that physiological activity of the plant as it's growing. And the frequency is one of three metrics in the Grazing Response Index. So we include the intensity because stocking rate is important and having leaf area is important. And so that's another one of the metrics. If the grazing is light so that the plant has lots of leaf area, say 64%, that's the magic number in the Grazing Response Index original paper that came out in 99 from Colorado. If the level is light to moderate up to 36% use, giving 64% of the plant leaf area still there to photosynthesize, then plus one. If it's moderate, neutral, down to 50%, then a zero. But if it's heavy, more than 50% use, then it's minus one. So we're not throwing away the intensity idea. We're just not relying on it as our only use criteria. But the really big one, it's worth 2 points, is the opportunity to grow or regrow. Sometimes we have a need to jumpstart rest, or we want to give the plant the whole growing season to grow. And we can do that with dormant season grazing. The winter or the dormant season use removes the thatch, and then the plant just grows during the growing season. That would be plus two. Most of the growing season as an opportunity to grow before the plant gets grazed or regrow after the plant gets grazed, that'd be a plus one. Some opportunity, zero. Little opportunity, minus one. And if it's grazed from the beginning to the end of the growing season, minus two. So there's no opportunity for it to have leaves that are photosynthesizing without those leaves being removed by grazing. The simple math says minus two on that because this growth is the big deal. It's what creates the food, it's what creates the plant, it's what creates the root system.
The three metrics you're talking about are duration, intensity, opportunity. Each of them are
Yeah.
scored.
And
Did I get
duration
that
is
right?
called frequency because the duration leads directly to more frequent bites. The best way to get a good score is not have them graze all of it all the time, but to graze only a part of it some of the time and then move on to another part of it and they graze that some of the time. That is going to improve their frequency score. It's going to improve their opportunity score. And you haven't changed their intensity score because you haven't changed stocking rate at all.
Is it safe to say that if you're grazing for the majority of the year, um, that you will get a low score in this situation somewhere?
Well, no, it depends on how you do it. If you have the ability to move your animals, you could have a high score, grazing response index score everywhere. But you can't graze big pastures within the landscape for a long period of time and get a high score, at least not during the growing season, because you're going to decrease your opportunity score and you're going
Hmm.
to decrease your frequency score.
Is there one of these three metrics that has to go down, and maybe not to below standard, but it would have to go down just because cattle have to be somewhere during the growing season?
Well, yes, down from the maximum score of 4, because if you're not doing complete rest, you're not going to get a +2 on opportunity, but you could get a +1 if you're moving the animal. And you'd also, assuming you're doing moderate use, you're getting a 0 on your intensity. If you're doing light use across the whole year, then you could have a +1. So you don't necessarily have to be down below +2. But because you're grazing, you're not going to be +4, but that's all right. You're still positive. What
Hmm.
you don't
Hmm.
want to do is go negative with your score.